What is up, basketball fans, and welcome back to Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA podcast, where we're going to break down the mess that is happening in Dallas over the last week and a half. I can't wait to get into it and share my stories from Monday night. But today's podcast, Zero Gravity, is brought to you by Big City Wings, Houston's wing joint, Apollo's wing joint. Go check them out today if you're in the Houston area. They've got 14 locations across Houston, so chances are if you're there, you're near a Big City Wings. Shout out to Prize Picks. Use code Apollo when you sign up and get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app and our favorite daily fantasy app. Shout out to Zing Zang. We love Zing Zang. We're going to have props behind me and in the office in the coming days. We got boxes and boxes and boxes of margarita mix, Bloody Mary mix, cans. We got it all from Zing Zang. We love Zing Zang over here. And shout out to J Bar M Barbecue. J Bar M Barbecue. We had a watch party for Rockets Mavs last weekend on Saturday afternoon. It was a great time. They had weightlifting competition going on there. They had run clubs. They had concerts the rest of the night. It was awesome over at J Bar M. So if you're looking for a fun time, go to J Bar M Barbecue. It's just a couple blocks away from Toyota Center down in Houston. So, Sheldon, welcome back. How are we doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I had some Chipotle for lunch, which is that's not a special occasion, but I decided things have been going pretty well, and I thought I would treat myself to some barbacoa.
Oh.
And, it's not like taco shop barbacoa, but
No.
I was feeling on top of the world is what I'm trying to say.
You're feeling frisky. I get
it. Feeling a little crazy.
I get it. I'm a chicken guy.
Feeling like making something happen. Oh, I'm always a chicken guy.
Are you a burrito or a bowl guy at Chipotle?
Oh, I'm a bowl guy because I'm not a psychopath.
Do you get a
or a 5-year-old
chips and then dip a little guacamole and then scoop some on the chip? You tried that action out?
I don't know what you just said. I didn't follow it is what I'm saying. But what I do is I get guac in my bowl again because things have been going well. And and I get some chips too. Really what it is that I have enough reward points that I either get free guac or free chips.
Sure.
Dip the chip in the Chipotle Tabasco sauce.
Okay. And
then just treat my bowl with guac, with the salad dressing, with everything in it as a dip.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like to have the side of guacamole, dip the chip into the guacamole, then scoop the food on there.
That's fine. You're kind of a control guy.
Yeah.
I just want some ordered chaos.
Okay. Yeah.
I
dig it. I'm just happy you do that too. Because my wife looks at me strange every time she does it. She tries it every time. She's like, it's not for me. I'm like, I don't know why you keep trying it then. But
using the chip is not for her? I don't understand.
Using the chip to scoop some guacamole and then
Gotcha. The process
as a shovel. Yeah, as a spoon, essentially.
That's what they are.
That's enough Chipotle talk. They're not sponsored.
No free ads. Sorry, Chipotle. We love you. Bye.
Yeah. We do love Chipotle. If you would like to sponsor, we're very much available for that.
Our DMs are open.
They are. Today is Thursday, February 13th. We're recording this before any of the basketball games start tonight. I would like to get into the Dallas Mavericks chaos over the last week.
Go off. Tell us about it, Stone.
So obviously this is the talk of the NBA. It will be until forever. It might be till
the cows come home.
It's going to be real chaotic, and I'm not looking forward to all the talk for the rest of the next 12 months or 18 months or however long this is going to last. But Luka gets traded, obviously, to LA. Anthony Davis comes to Dallas. Anthony Davis plays on Saturday when we were at J Bar M. It was spectacular. I had a great time at J Bar M. I was the only Dallas Mavericks fan there. Everyone was down in the dumps pretty much the whole game, and it was marvelous. I had a great time. And then he goes down with an injury. Says it's a spasm. Turns out it's an adductor strain, which is in your groin area on the inside of your upper leg. And it's not fun. It's not a good time to have an injury there.
It's never a good time.
No. And they haven't really given us an update. He's doing rehab and no surgery, which is a good thing. Yeah, but you traded for the first time in his NBA career, got hurt for a significant period of time because he's made All-NBA 5 of his first 6 seasons. He was probably going to make it this season, but he misses too much time, and now he's not going to make it. With Luka, he comes back from injury. He hasn't looked spectacular, but I can't blame him.
He's rusty.
He's been out for a month and a half since Christmas, and he's a little rusty. New team. Yeah. He's got to learn how to fit in with LeBron and all this other stuff. I'm not going to blame Luka for that. But he came back from injury, and he's played 2 games in a row. Anthony Davis, perpetually injury prone, had the most games played in his career last year, like 76, something like that. Played a lot of games last year.
Yeah.
Made second team
Yeah.
All
Good
NBA.
season.
He was incredible. But every season, it seems like something like this happens. It's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that that happened because Derek Lively is out. Now Daniel Gafford is out. That happened Monday. And Dwight Powell has been out for over a month now, I believe. So there are 0 centers left on the squad, which is terrible. But all of that to say that I'm coming to terms with this trade. And I watched the Wayne Gretzky King's Ransom 30 for 30 on ESPN the other day. Just went back to it. It's been several years since I've watched it. And I was like, you know what? Let's just get some great one action. Let's watch a little Wayne Gretzky. It's having a great time.
Sure.
It's watching it. And while watching it, I realized that the only comparable trade for Luka Doncic to LA was Wayne Gretzky going to LA, leaving Edmonton. And this is a worse trade. So that made me feel better that Luka Doncic went to LA. This is a much worse trade. Wayne Gretzky, if you're unfamiliar with hockey, I'm a big hockey guy, obviously. I'm ready for 4 Nations. That's starting in an hour. We got Clean Sheet of Ice, Texas Hockey Podcast on the Apollo Network.
Plug.
Wayne Gretzky, 4 Stanley Cup titles, 8 MVPs, was 27 and was wanting to be the highest paid player in the game of hockey. Deservedly so. He was the best player on the best team. They had just won a cup, by the way, in that summer of 87, I believe, 88. Back-to-back as well, just for shits and gigs. He gets traded to LA because the owner doesn't want to pay him that money. He had Mark Messier, he had all these guys on the team, and he wasn't able to give him what he wanted. And Gretzky had 1 year left on his contract, and he was like, I'm not talking about a contract until it's over. Would love to stay here. We'll get through it next summer. And the owner said, I can't risk that. So he traded him to LA for $15 million, 5 draft picks, and a couple of players. Great haul back in 88 in hockey.
Okay.
To get Gretzky back. That's a really, I think, 5 draft picks and $15 million cash plus 2 players for Wayne Gretzky. That's pretty solid. That's not bad.
Yeah.
You can,
sure.
It's recouping some assets. You already had a good team. They won another cup in like 1990 with the team. So
there you go.
They came out on top. It took a year and a half, 2 years since the trade, but they won another cup and whatever. Trading Wayne Gretzky in his prime at 27 is absurd in any way, shape, or form. You keep Gretzky, they win 4 more cups maybe. He probably has 8, maybe 7. Like, he has so many titles and so many more MVPs and all these things. Luka getting traded at 25, having gone to the finals and the Western Conference Finals 2 years before that, is not comparable because he's not an MVP and he hasn't won a title yet. However, 2 superstars, 2 of the best players in the game, get traded at around the same age range, and that just made me feel better that Wayne Gretzky getting traded is out of this world. This is like not even comparable. But
I think the difficult thing for me with that, and I don't know much about hockey, so that was going to be my question, is like, how was the return? Was it even good? And I think the Luka return does get a little blown out of proportion. I think all the hysteria stuff is fair and it's right, and all the concerns are very, very valid. But someone was like, oh, they got more for this player, Jimmy Butler, than Luka Doncic or something like that. And I was like, but no, they didn't, because Anthony Davis is worth 4 or 5 Andrew Wiggins when healthy.
Yeah, he's a top 15 player when healthy.
Yeah,
minimum.
But
he was top 10 last season.
Yeah. But I think there's like, I'm happy that it's helping you cope.
Yeah, but that's all it is.
It's like there's nothing that I can think of or have experienced or have read or heard other people talk about that is like really gonna scratch the itch the same way that this trade does. And maybe that's not a good metaphor because that's it's supposed to be helpful, but because I was listening to someone else, like Mavs fans, Malice, that's what they're feeling. Mavs fans had like Luka had become such an identity for Mavs fans. Like, he was the identity of being a Mavs fan. And now, like, that was just stripped from you. So it's like, what does it even mean to be a Mavs fan? And I think that's a really interesting angle to think about. And I'm sure, Rangers fans probably felt the same with Gretzky.
Oilers.
Or it was Rangers, right?
Same thing.
Oilers. Yeah, whatever. Go Oilers. They belong in Houston. I don't care what sport it is. Actually, I'm kind of over the whole jerseys thing. It's funny that the Titans losing them. Anyway, yeah, I just don't think anything is quite going to be able to compare. But I'm happy
Yeah,
that it's helping you.
we're figuring it out one day at a time. Before I get into what happened on Monday night,
That's what it's all
so I
about.
did buy tickets and went to the game on Monday night. No Anthony Davis, no PJ Washington. Daniel Gafford gets hurt. I'm just in a world of hurt. But tickets were literally $9 to sit at the top, and I was like, you know what? Wife's working late. I'll just go. When am I going to have a $9
Yep.
Mavs ticket again? It's not going to be very soon. So I'm going to do it. So I went. Maybe.
Maybe next season.
So I went, and I didn't have a great time. I was just watching because I wanted to watch basketball in person for the first time this season. So that's why I went. Before we get to that, there was a funeral and a protest and all that kind of stuff on Saturday during the Rockets game or before the Rockets game. Hundreds of protesters and all that kind of stuff. Locked On Mavs made fun of it. Let people feel what they want to feel. If they want to protest it, if they want to hold signs, if they want to hold T-shirts and posters of Nico and all that kind of stuff. This is a lot of people's like escape from reality. Like basketball and sports in general are an escape from reality. Like you can dive into it and you can forget about whatever you're thinking about for 2.5, 3.5 hours, however long the game lasts, and have fun and debate and have discourse online and all that kind of stuff. Like this is a lot of people's hobbies. It's our job. Like it's okay for people to have those feelings. So people calling people out for the protesting. I wasn't going to go protest, but like if you want to go do that, then go do that. Have your feelings and make them be known.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not that serious. And when I say that, I'm not saying that means you shouldn't go protest. I mean, like if someone wants to do that to go vent about something that's not that serious,
Have at it.
fine. Like who cares? Why do we have to police the way people um display their fandom? Like yeah, sometimes it can be annoying, and I get annoyed with my own fan base and the way that they process stuff, and it can be super dumb or frustrating or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's not my job to control the way that they watch or observe things, and everyone's going to process it differently. And on another level, like I totally get why people would be so frustrated that they would be looking for things to do to try and kind of take control of the situation. Cause it's not, yes, it's an escape, and there's probably some like good back and forth on how good is it that it's for you, that it's so much of an escape that it would lead you to do that. But also there's a lot more to it. Like, sports bring families together. They develop camaraderie. They help you make connections with new people and stuff like that. And so on one level, it's not that serious. But on another level, there are things that sports give you that are serious and like important in life and stuff like that. And so while the way people react might not actually be helpful, it might not actually be like beneficial to their cause,
Yes.
it's fine. Like just chill out. Like why do we have to control and comment on everything everyone does
So
all the time?
that happened on Saturday, and then I didn't hear of any fans getting kicked out of the arena on Saturday. Partly because Anthony Davis literally went the fuck off on the Rockets in the first half, 24, 13, and 3 blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was having a
He
great
was
time.
hooping,
And
man.
it was an exciting time because it's a different new player on your team that's an all-star, an all-NBA caliber player, and it's different. Like the vibe was different, but it was loud, appeared to be on TV, and seemed like everybody had a great time. It was an afternoon game in Dallas. It seemed like a good time on Saturday. It was warm outside. It was great. Then Monday night happens against Sacramento. No Anthony Davis because he got hurt on Saturday. Daniel Gafford goes down in like the first quarter maybe or the second quarter. I can't remember. And I counted and in person where I could hear it. I was up top, but like if you can hear it, it's an audible boo. Like it wasn't just one person. It was a collective group of people booing. And there was 3 times that happened. 2 of them were when fans were getting thrown from the arena. Shout out to the karaoke guy. He was singing along to karaoke. They finally put fans on the Jumbotron in the third quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And he's singing along. He's got a fake microphone. And all of a sudden he goes, "Fire Nico" into the, just an absolute legend. It was delightful. Shout out to that guy. He got tossed from the game later in the quarter, maybe in the beginning of the fourth. And then 2 fans that were in the lower bowl ended up getting tossed in the fourth quarter later on, like 3 or 4 minutes left in the game, which was a little bit ridiculous. But they were yelling fire Nico, and Mark Cuban looked at them and said, "Shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down." Yeah, and then
So
police obviously come
crazy.
in. They say to him on camera that they're going to ban him. He can't come to this arena anymore. You got to leave now. Yada yada yada. So full disclosure, I left the game, and there was a guy just screaming into his phone, like he was videoing himself, screaming into it. And he's like, "Fuck this fuck this team, fuck Mark Cuban, fuck the Adelsons, fuck Nico, like all this stuff." And I was like, "What is? I mean, buddy, like you can vent a different way. Just tweet it out. Like, just don't scream it right outside of AAC." Turns out that was one of the guys that got tossed. It was him and a buddy. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of his
Okay.
discourse now.
It's all making sense now.
And then the third time that there was an audible boo was when Patrick Dumont walked onto the court to his courtside seat right as the game was starting, and they were booing him. And he sat down and was like, "Is that
So
for me?"
good.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Is that for
You
me?
called him fat.
Yeah, what
and
do you
compared,
think?
like you said, Shaq and Kobe had harder work ethics when they were 25, which Kobe did not. And Shaq was historically known for not having it. And Larry Bird
Oh,
was historically known for drinking beers and smoking cigarettes in the locker room post game. Like,
yes, that is my favorite. That's my favorite piece of this whole
yes,
story so far. Is this guy who like very obviously is like kind of
sports,
new to being at this level involved in
sports.
the basketball world. And he doesn't know that these guys have like a certain like we
Mhm.
know their reputation. Yeah, like the common casual fan like probably doesn't know, like they don't remember, or newer fans don't know that Shaq was like a slouch and took advantage of his status and stuff like that, and kind of just got by on
Just
just
being better
raw
than
talent
everybody
and
else.
ability, which
Yes.
kudos to him.
Did you
Like,
see the clip
fine,
of Shaq talking about it?
you do you. That's how I
Did you
feel
see the
about
clip of
Luca.
Shaq talking about it? He was like,
Uh, is it when he said he's
no,
not watching
he
basketball
said,
anymore
"Why
or
is his owner
something?
calling Luka out? Like, he's got first team All NBA 5 seasons in a row before like by the time he's 25. Like, he's one of the 5 best players in the world every year. And if he's out of shape, then if that's out of shape, one day he either figures it out or he doesn't, and he's still going to be one of the first or one of the best 5 players and make All NBA every season because he's that good." When I came to camp, I didn't do
Yeah.
shit in the offseason. Like, I didn't do anything. I sat around, I ate, I did whatever. I came in overweight. Came in 415 one year, 450. Like, he's just like, but then he makes first
Oh
team All NBA after that. It's just
gosh.
like, if you're that good and you
Yeah.
can be that out of shape, and Ryan Russillo saying, I don't care if he's smoking cigarettes up and down the court. If this is what we're getting right now, then
That's right.
we'll take it. But yeah, Dumont saying that and comparing him to Jordan, Kobe, Bird, and Shaq, which is all 4 of them really.
That's a
Kobe
heck
didn't
of a
start doing any of that
combination.
until what, 2007, 2006. Yeah,
Post Shaq,
2006,
really, right?
2007 is kind of
Or
when he went to
I
Mamba
mean,
mentality and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
that's when it really took off. Yeah, he was
yeah.
already like busting it to try and be the best before, and that was part of the rift. But yes, this like persona was
And
a
Michael
little
Jordan has the
later.
gambling, the golf, the cigars in the locker room, like all these things that you look at a professional athlete and like,
Yeah,
maybe you shouldn't be smoking a cigar after just a regular season game for shits and gigs. Like, nowadays, back then it was like, yeah, that's what
yeah.
everybody did. Larry Bird, if you've watched any of the 30 for 30s on ESPN about the Celtics Lakers, he's like, yeah, I used to just crush 3 beers after games and then go home. Like, a lot of these pro athletes just didn't take care of their bodies.
Why
And
wouldn't
if
you?
Luka's not taking care of his body, it's one thing nowadays, but it's also like he's one of the best 3 players in the NBA. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, there was 3 audible boos. The karaoke guy was awesome. Then Cuban, and then the 2 guys that got tossed later in the game, one of them that was screaming out of AAC. The other guy got invited by Mark Cuban on Wednesday night to sit courtside with him at the Mavs game last night. And then the guy got to bring his son and all that kind of stuff. I think it was more of an apology. There was a lot of Fire Nico shirts in
Oh,
the crowd last night. No one was getting tossed. Didn't hear any boos on TV. So maybe if they're just going to let fans express their feelings and have their First Amendment rights, this thing will end up passing over next season or so, and everyone can kind of go back to being Mavs fans and all that kind of stuff. But the way they handled that on Monday was the worst PR disaster I've seen from a team since maybe the Astros of 2019, 2020, with the guy that whatever his name
Yeah.
was in the front office, the talking shit in the ALCS or whatever that was, and yeah,
Oh,
Topman, and
Topman?
the whole cheating scandal
That was
and the
horrible.
firing, and
Gosh.
then now Alex Cora gets fired, but he gets to come back, or he didn't get fired, he got suspended for a season, and all this kind of stuff. Like the way that the Astros handled that was not great. I think the Dolphins organization doesn't handle things very well.
Yeah.
This was the worst display of a sports franchise and how they treat their fans over a week and a half span. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, is just because it's frustrating. As a fan of this team, you want to feel like you're important, essentially. As a fan of a team, you want to feel like you're heard
Yeah.
and have your feelings out there, if they're happy, if they're sad, or whatever. Like, oh, we want new jerseys. Let's start talking about new jerseys, and we'll get to it in 2-3 seasons, like when our contract's up. Like those kinds of things. Like very simple things to make a fan feel like they need you, essentially. Because they do need fans, because
Yeah.
without fans, there's no TV contracts, there's no seats and butts and seats and all that, and no merch and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
No
You need
money.
fans. So to have them just shit on fans for about a week and a half, and the player that they love so much that they thought was going to get a statue outside the arena, his jersey retired, maybe a championship in the later years, like all of these things has just gone out the window, and then you shit on them on the way out, which is basically shitting on the fans,
Yep.
and then treating the fans the way they did on Monday. And yeah, it was a PR disaster. But Wednesday it was better, I think. But maybe it's because it was an 8:30 game and people were like, it's Wednesday and I'm not going to an 8:30 game in Dallas. I got work tomorrow. So I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe. Or maybe the Jimmy Butler toxicity like leveled it out. Like there's some kind of
Yeah,
supernatural
maybe.
force going on that just brought a natural balance. I don't know. I'm not into all that stuff, but if you're out there, if you're watching and you're listening, comment, let us know.
Yeah,
Is that
maybe.
possible?
And I saw
Is it
Clay
in the
Thompson
cards?
cook Jimmy Butler off the
Yeah.
dribble and drive to the hoop yesterday, which was hilarious. I was like, whoa, what is.
Wow. That is an
Yeah, I
incredible
was
combination.
awestruck. I think it was in the third quarter. I was like, I can't believe that this just happened. Like cooked them off the dribble, just one crossover
Just
right
two
to the line,
geezers.
and laid it in, and I was like, this is unheard of. This is weird. So yeah,
That's crazy. Just two men playing basketball
shout
before
out
they
to
go to
Kyrie Irving
Luby's.
too. He's trying to get the fans into it. He understands, and the players, when they were giving their press conferences, they're shocked. They feel for the fans, they feel for the city, and all these kinds of things. Whereas the owners and the GM and all that, and the coach didn't say anything about it. So shout out to the players. Shout out to Kyrie.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we move on, it feels like you're about to. Yeah, shout out to the
Yeah.
players, especially AD. I think he's handled everything about as good as you could. And he was very deferential to the fans and acknowledged like the
Mhm.
kind of icon that Luca was for them and stuff like that. And we joke about the injuries and we call them street clothes and all those things. But like, I kind of feel for him because he really is an incredible talent and an incredible player and worker and stuff like that. And he's been dealt a hand that he can't always control when it comes to injuries. And now, especially in this situation, like he's out of control, but he's had a lot of composure. And yeah, dude, he was killing
Yeah.
the Rockets. Like, it was like a little embarrassing,
That first like 6 minutes, I was
But
like,
props to
oh my
him.
God, we might actually win the title. That's how good he was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. He was nuts. And if he comes back in a few weeks, he'll go nuts again. Man, he's good. But props to him on like the human side of thing. Like unlike the
Yes.
Mavs, he read the room and he understood the situation and he immediately went into, okay, I need to win the fans over. And I think it was genuine. I think he really means kind of the, what he was talking about. And so that's cool. That's cool for him to do that in the midst of one of the craziest PR disaster classes
Yeah,
I've ever seen on a public
his
level, in
opening
sports at
presser,
least.
the introductory press conference was really cool, because he was just like, I understand what Luca meant to this team, the fan base, the city, just all of these things. I
Yeah.
can't replace that. I'm just here to win basketball games and win the fan base over. And I was like, all right, that's really all
Yeah.
anyone needed to ever say. And also Max Christie just being the best player of all time helps this
Right.
trade out.
Hey, It helps. It helps with the copium. Also, man, AD, he looks good in the Mavericks blue. In those
Yeah,
navy
only the
uniforms.
photoshops because we haven't seen him in those yet. But yeah,
Look. Oh wait, what
they wore
did they
the
wear the
white,
normal
the
ugly blue
city
ones on that
edition, the white
Saturday
ones,
game?
the white and silvers.
Oh, that's right. I don't know. I was okay. I
It's
guess I'm
his
thinking of jersey
profile
swaps.
picture now.
I was only
Someone made it,
loosely tuned
and
into
that's
that
his
game,
profile
so.
picture in the navy blues. Yeah, I think he does look good.
Well,
Yeah,
shout
shout
out
out
to
to that. One
misinformation
last thing on
then.
the Mavs. I know we're talking about the Mavs for 30 minutes here, but Tim McMahon.
Hey man, that's good.
ESPN beat reporter, lives in Dallas, covers the team a lot. He's a natural writer, but he also writes for the Mavs. And Tim McMahon is not liked in this fan base at all, in any way, shape, or form. He's been hard on Luka, which I was a journalism major. Like, it's what I graduated with. I understand, like, not shying away from tough subjects. If you have a pass and all that kind of stuff, you don't want to lose it. But since he's been there for 20 plus years, whatever, like, he has the right to be critical, and so do journalists. Like, journalists can be critical. I'm okay with that. I was indifferent with Tim McMahon up until the last few weeks. Him calling out Grant Asfeth, who's a independent Mavs journalist. Like, he does his work, he writes, he has podcasts, all that kind of stuff. He reports. He's very good at it. He's independent, so it's all on his own. It's on his own stuff. It's not like he's under a umbrella like Apollo. Like, it's his own thing. He did some digging about the death threats that were thrown at Nico Harrison and company. He reached out to multiple police departments in Dallas and were like, hey, what's up with these death threats? And they're like, we haven't received any. So that means the death threats were all tweets, essentially, or Instagram posts or Facebook posts or whatever you want to say. And none of them actually come to anything, which most, I think, death threats are like that now. So if they're not high danger and they're not reported to the police, they're not a true death threat in a sense. So I understand why the Mavs ownership and the front office was like, hey, it's a little much, because it was. You shouldn't tweet those things or say those things about people. But them not actually reporting it to the police, the Mavericks organization at all, and this guy found that out. He put it out there and was like, hey, the death threats aren't actually of high danger. They haven't been reported to the police. There's nothing that the police are actually too afraid of. And Tim McMahon comes out there and calls him a wannabe reporter. These death threats are real, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. He said it on the Hoop Collective last week. Like late last week, maybe, or early this week. And then he came on to the Hoop Collective again a couple days ago and was like, hey, I can be petty. I run my gums a little bit, and my bad, was his apology to Grant Asfeth. And didn't name him by name. Nope, sure
That's
wasn't.
not an
and
apology.
Didn't name him by name. And Wendy and whoever else was on the pod, I can't remember who it was, but maybe it was Bontemps, and they were like, that was a great apology. Completely sarcastic, obviously. And they were like, dude, like, if you're going to apologize, actually apologize.
Did they really?
Yeah,
Did they really light him up like that?
What an apology that was, because he just said, my bad. It wasn't like, hey, way to do your research, way to do your journalistic homework and all that kind of stuff. Like, way to actually report on something that I was given, and it turns out it wasn't true, which means he didn't do his homework. And I just, that's frustrating when you're calling out people of a fan base that are hurting, and, well, a journalist that is actually doing his job, just trying to report to the fans and the fan base and everything and give them the information that he thought they deserved. And McMahon said, no, that's not right. And whatever. He called him out and called him a wannabe reporter. So fuck Tim McMahon. This is a fuck Tim McMahon podcast now, at least on my end. So and then now he's going to capitalize on Luka. He was writing a book called Wonder Kid or something like that. And now he's adding a chapter with the, obviously, trade happening. And it's going to come out later this summer.
Oh, of course.
If you buy that and if you're a Mavs fan and you buy that, and you're a coward and you're not a real Mavs fan. So don't buy it. Don't buy Tim McMahon stuff. Don't listen to him. Don't read his shit anymore, because fuck that guy.
I won't lie to you. I did see the link about Wonder Kid, and I did send it to my friends who are Mavs fans who I know hate Tim McMahon, just to get a rise out of them. You know, I'm not trying to antagonize them. I just wanted to see how they'd respond, because I figured it'd be pretty funny. And one of them asked me, he was like, is this one of the situations where maybe book burning
Okay.
is okay.
If you're going to buy it, then burning it is absolutely in the cards. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels like maybe we're in Texas, and I feel like we're perpetually
That's
in a
fair.
burn ban. So
Yeah, do it
maybe
safely in like
not.
a fire
But
pit or something in your
throw it.
backyard. A
That's
controlled
right.
fire
In your
situation.
backyard.
Yes. Let's do it that way. Yeah, we'll
That's
do it
right.
that way.
Controlled burn.
Yeah, I'm
Perfect.
over talking about the Mavs now. I've got it out. I feel fine. No one's playing tonight, and we have like 6 G Leaguers and 2 relative NBA players, if you want to call them that, playing tonight. So that's going to be really fun. Then it's All-Star break. But before we get to All-Star break, let's talk about Kevin Durant. He hit 30,000 points, one of 8 players in NBA history to hit 30,000 points. So good for him. And John Morant shit talked him the whole way through, and it was awesome. Yep.
Of course he did. Yeah, man. I love this. I have been all over the place with KD throughout his career as far as like my fandom goes. When he was at the peak of his powers with the Thunder was whenever the Rockets were kind of in this intertestamental period, if I can use a Bible reference, where it was like Kevin Martin was running the show. And, you know, we wanted to watch hoops, and so we would turn it on and have a good time and not have any expectations. And so I was all in on KD and that Thunder team. Like, he was my favorite player. I was rooting for them so hard. I was like, he might end up as the GOAT, you know, as like a kid or a teenager, whatever. And then he goes to the freaking Warriors, and I just lose, like everyone else.
Yep.
All respect for him. But then he's had this like crazy, I guess, third act of his career. It's sort of like part 3, where he's like redeemed his public image sort of by like not really changing anything about, like he's remained the same person, but we have just grown to appreciate it in a different light. And so it's just like really made this kind of journey for me personally, as someone who, like, KD was one of my first favorite players. Like, whenever I really got tapped into the league and started learning about players outside of the Rockets, he was one of my favorites. And to go from loving him to hating him to now, I can just like sit back and appreciate one of the greatest of all time scorers, just like pure scorer, being like almost 40 and dropping like nearly 40 on good young teams when the rest of his team is injured, stuff like that. It's just like incredible. Like, I think I've taken him for granted a lot through the Nets kind of debacle, and then now it being annoying, like the mismanagement of the Suns makes it easy to forget the killer that they have wearing 35. But man, crossing 30K is just nuts. It's insane, especially for a player that's had like injury issues and stuff like that lately.
The foot injury with OKC, and then the Achilles injury when he went to Brooklyn right after the finals, or during the finals. Like, he's missed 2 full seasons and already has 30K. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's just nuts. It should not happen like that. But it has.
He's going to end up being a Maverick or a Rocket this summer, so it's something to look forward to.
Hey man, I if he's cheap, I'll take him. And if not, the Mavs chaos would be even funnier because of just how loaded that team would be on 2016 MVP candidates.
2016
for like 2 years or whatever.
Yeah, shout out to KD. I do think probably his second season with Brooklyn. So the first season he didn't play there at all. Obviously, he got hurt in the finals,
right?
Before he goes over there. But I think that second season in Brooklyn, everyone's like, "Oh fuck, forgot how good this guy is." It wasn't just like, it wasn't hate watching anymore. Yes. It was just like, oh my god, this is the best offensive team I've ever seen, and Kevin Durant's the best player on it. It was James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and KD just like bucket. Like, it didn't matter if they played defense or not, because they were going to put up 145 every night, and it was magical for those 30-something games that they all played together. And now he's in the Suns.
He only played 35.
He's in the Suns, just wasting away now because they tried to build the super team and it's not working, and new owner syndrome and all the things that go into it. And now they tried to trade him, and now he's going to be pissed off. So he's going to probably ask for a trade, or they're going to just deal him anyway in the summer. So it's just a weird third act where he had the opportunity to go back to Golden State. Obviously, that Draymond relationship is not good, because that has to be the only reason that he's not going back, is because he hates Draymond still from that one comment in 2018, 2019 season that he yelled at him because Draymond didn't pass him the ball with like 8 seconds left or whatever to go down the court, and Draymond lost the ball and they lost the game, whatever. They haven't recovered from that, which is very funny that it's 6 years ago. Like, we just, can we get over it? We're adults. He had the opportunity to go back, and now he's not. He turned that one away really quick, and now he's sitting in Phoenix, and we'll see what happens with him in the summer. But 30,000 points, only 8 players ever do it. What is it? Jordan, Kobe, Bron, Kareem, redacted one of the names, Dirk. Who else is there? Is that it? No, I didn't name 7.
Well, I'm trying to figure out who you redacted. Is it someone who is similar to Drake in this cultural moment?
The one that played in Utah. Yeah.
Yes, he's in there. I think you missed the guy who's famously holds up a little paper.
Yeah, well, we don't actually know if that actually happened, because there's film coming out from like 1913 coming out, and we don't have any film of Wilt Chamberlain doing that. That doesn't compute.
Hey,
like,
look,
and they moved the game to a high school gymnasium like a few hours before. They didn't play in whatever arena they were supposed to play in for an NBA team. They went to like a high school gym, and there was no cameras. Like, I'm unsure. I'm now questioning. I'm on full conspiracy Bill. I'm gonna put my hood up like he did the other day. Bill Simmons. Yeah, it's a little fishy. But 30,000 points. Yeah, he was awesome.
Don't worry.
Whatever. But see, conspiracy Bill's out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Call me Conspiracy Shell. I don't know if you're allowed to be a Wilt Chamberlain detractor during Black History Month,
we'll
but we can just move on from that. Yikes. Hey, if there's a picture of AD out there wearing a Navy Mavs uniform, then Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points has to be real.
Photoshop one, so
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know or care if it was. That's beside the point. I think you said everyone. Wilt Chamberlain going from 7 to 1. Wilt, Dirk, MJ, Kobe, redacted, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then the GOAT, GOAT, LeBron James.
Hell of a list. Someone was comparing it to like a golf equivalent, like who are these 8 players in golf history, and they were like, it's winning every major twice, so 8 majors plus a certain number of wins, which I found interesting. It's an
you keep incredibly sports on me. It's not helping.
I'm just saying, like, that this just doesn't happen. There's only 8 players. Over it's like 80 years now, essentially, of the NBA. Like, only 8 players, so one a decade essentially might get there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And only one player at 40K, so that's cool. My GOAT. That's
right, baby. I was gonna make a goat noise, but I don't really know how. We can move on now. It's got to be like a sheep, right?
I would assume the screaming goats. You remember the screaming goats on
Sheep's
Vine?
Probably like a little softer.
Yeah,
well, I don't know if I can do that on the mic.
I do have earbuds in, so that would not feel good. Before we go, tonight is, I believe, the last night before All-Star break in the NBA, so we're gonna have a little bit of break. We'll come back before All-Star game and kind of preview it, I guess. But All-Star game is now a tournament, and I don't remember how it works because I don't have the instructions on here. So there's three teams in the NBA All-Star game this year. No, I don't know how it works, but whatever. Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny drafted them on TNT last week, and Shaq and Chuck's teams are just very funny. They're actually all 3 teams are very funny.
Well, first it's 4 teams because the winner of the Rising Stars game will be put into the tournament because they're going to have like a head-to-head. I guess is that game on Friday or Saturday?
I would assume.
I guess it's on Friday,
right? Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, because all the big stuff is on. Is on Saturday. And one of those Rising Stars teams is like nuts. The one that Amin Thompson is on is like all like the best defenders in like the first and second year. It's kind of, I don't know if they're going to be able to score, but I don't know if they need to score more than once to win. So it'll be a 4-team, 3-game. Each team will play in a 3-game tournament. First team to score 40 wins. So that's kind of fun. That could make it take forever, though. I think it's weird they're introducing that variable. But it is kind of fun. I guess it guarantees effort
It's
the whole time.
different.
They have to try to score.
That's for sure. So Shaq's team is
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Damian Lillard, and Jason Tatum. He did have Anthony Davis. He ended up getting Kyrie.
It's so good.
Team name
I
team
love
name
this
Shaq's
team
OGs.
so much.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He took all of the old dudes and Anthony Davis, and then ended up with Kyrie Irving, another old dude, and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, like if you needed any more proof that Shaq does not actually watch any game he's not
Yes.
actively working, it's this list is hilarious. Like all of these guys are gonna have to apply for AARP after
And
they
I
leave
watched-
the game.
I literally
Except
watched
for
the draft
2 of them.
live, and I was like, this is impeccable content, because you can tell that none of them watch basketball. None of them.
Oh, dude, I saw it. I think I tweeted this. I was like, did Chuck get the first 3 picks? Because he's got Shea, Jokic,
he had
and
the
Giannis.
third pick.
Well,
and it was
originally
a snake draft,
he had Giannis.
so he got 3 and 4. Yeah,
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
So Chuck's team is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, Donovan Mitchell, Alperen Şengün, Pascal Siakam, Karl Anthony Towns, Victor Wembanyama, and Trae Young. Got all the young dudes and the foreign dudes. He was straight foreign for like 4 or 5 picks to start the draft, which was incredible. It's so funny. He's like, and the pride of whatever. Like he was just, and he said the pride of Houston for Alperen Şengün after picking a bunch of foreign dudes and saying what country they're from, pride of wherever. And he goes, the pride of Houston.
He doesn't know where Şengün's from.
And he goes, you could have just said the pride of Turkey there, but yeah, he could have kept that one going. He's like,
yeah. Well, I'm sure he said the pride of Houston.
Yeah,
Alperen
and he just couldn't say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He couldn't say Jokic. He couldn't say Şengün. He couldn't say Siakam, and he said Wembanyama correctly, which I thought was very funny. That the hardest name on the list is the one that you got completely right, and every other one you butchered. It was impeccable. I love Chuck.
Oh yeah, they get on my nerves so much, but there's the content is
it's the last ride.
Even if I hate every
Seems
time
like
they
it's the
talk
last
about
ride.
basketball.
I don't think Chuck has a contract or didn't sign it. Shaq doesn't have a contract. I don't know what Kenny does, which I'm fine with that. And I'm gonna miss Ernie, but I'll watch golf with Ernie. It'll be fine. Kenny,
yeah, and some baseball, TBS.
Yeah. He's great.
Every now and
Anything that he does, he's great. But Kenny got Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan Mobley, and Jalen Williams. So just a bunch of young dudes, all of the young dudes, and Jalen Brunson, which I don't know if he's still pretty young. So he's the oldest guy on the
young
list,
enough.
though, for sure.
He's got like young guy energy where he's been in the league for a while now, relative to like some other stars.
A number of years at Villanova too. He wasn't like a freshman coming out. He was like a junior.
Yeah, but his like rise is recent enough that he feels
he's the
young.
grandpa. He's the OG of this team, which is very funny.
It is pretty funny. That team's going to be pretty fun to watch, man. I don't know how much defense they'll be playing, but again, it's an all-star game, so I guess
that's okay.
Yeah,
Wemby will.
Actually, I say that the last 3 people on that list are pretty insane. So.
Wemby will be playing defense. He's treating this as a work trip and not a vacation, according to him. So,
yeah, which is annoying.
Can't stand the guy. And it's been a year and a half, dude. I can't believe I got to deal with this for another like 15 years. It's ridiculous. I can't stand him.
Oh, and then for the rest of our lives after that, man, the conversations about him are never going to go away.
About Wemby, and I'm like, he was a bitch, baby back bitch. I hated that dude.
We hate that guy. We hate that guy. Yeah, no, man. Like, we don't. Okay, fine. Like, cool. You're a fake tough guy. Like, why don't you just go have fun at a game? Like, you play a game.
Imagine
for a
if
living.
Luka Doncic treated his career like Wemby did.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, he wouldn't.
I don't think he does, but he wouldn't weigh 240. He'd be 220.
But we would know for sure.
And it would be insufferable, and I would understand the hate. So that another Luka thing. Did you see the play last night against the Jazz where Luka wanted a foul? He's screaming at the ref, and then everybody on the Lakers starts screaming at the ref while the Jazz take the breakaway and dunk it on the other.
No, but that
LeBron just
is
stopped and turned
hilarious.
around
That
at
is
half court and
exactly what.
started jarring at the ref. Every other Laker is jarring at the ref, and I was like, "This is cinema. This is delightful. I love this very much."
I love that. It's even
Yeah,
better that they
they
lost
didn't
that
play
game.
any defense at all whatsoever. And Luka was on a minutes restriction. I think he only played like 23 minutes. So it's like you didn't have your best players and whatever. But that was just an all timer where I experienced several years of Luka complaining at refs, and that was my one qualm with him. I'm like, dude, just stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Because the whole team never got whistles. And since Luka's been gone off the team, the Mavs are getting whistles. Kyrie's getting more. He's getting more free throws. Like
Yeah.
Daniel Gafford's getting whistles. It's the most marveling thing. Like I just had no idea.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing as a fan of a team who gets
Mhm.
punished for playing physically. So like I do think there's a little bit
Yeah.
of a ref disadvantage where like the Rockets will get called for fouls that they won't get the benefit of on the offensive side of the ball. But then like Fred VanVleet or Dylan Brooks, who I think have figured out a little bit how to handle the refs, but they started off so poorly that I think they've built a rapport with the refs at large to where they're like, screw you, man.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you a call. Like you're gonna have to die
And
for this. And so yeah,
the
it's
other day,
real, I
Monday
think.
night, I believe. Maybe it was last night. No, it was Monday night. So I was at the game. Kyrie has a layup. It goes off the glass, and it clearly gets goaltended. They didn't call a goaltend. He's screaming at the ref. Like Kyrie doesn't yell at the refs or coaches or players often. So when that happens, it's
Yeah.
it's a
Zen
really
master.
bad missed call. He's screaming at him, and then they had a made up call like a couple minutes later where it was clearly out of bounds on us, and then they gave us the ball. So it's like, all right, whatever. 2 points are gone, but there was a makeup call,
Sure.
which there was never makeup calls when Luka was on the team. So I'm happy that we're getting calls. I'm sad that I don't have Luka, but it's an interesting wrinkle to LA because I thought he might just start getting the superstar whistle immediately, which he has a superstar whistle, but it's different, I think.
Yeah, he already has it. I'll tell you right now, he already
Yeah,
has a superstar whistle
I
as
think
an
it's different
outside
than
observer.
Embiid and Shea's superstar whistle. I think it's slightly different, but it's a little bit less. But
Yeah,
he's right there.
I
He's
think
tier
so
two
too.
of the superstar whistle. So I thought
Yeah.
he was just going to have Uber tier one, and it
He
hasn't
does
happened yet, which is funny.
yeah, he does less foul baiting
Yes,
than those
he
two
just gets
guys,
fouled.
but still complains a lot about missed calls. So yeah, he
Yeah,
like actually does just get fouled. But then also
him and
gets bailed
Jokic
out
just having
sometimes. But
scratches
this
everywhere.
All-Star
It's
game.
insane.
Yes, just
Every game there's a new
all
scratch
over
and
them,
scar.
dude.
Yeah,
Shengun's the same way,
it's the
so I
white
guess it's
Euros,
just those white Europeans.
the
They just
Eastern
got like
Europeans.
marks, bruises, scratches.
Yeah,
Yeah, just everywhere, man. And they probably got
yeah,
half of it
it's
from
probably
playing
fair. Yeah,
overseas.
All-Star game.
But I do think while this format like seems kind of dumb and
It
like,
does.
oh, we didn't ask for this. Now that I'm like looking at it, I'm intrigued. I won't lie. Like I'm looking forward to watching these teams play against each other. And it could totally flop and that'll be okay. Like I'll eat crow. But I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of excited about to see how these matchups go and getting multiple games. That feels kind of fun
Yeah,
too.
I'm gonna watch. I don't think I watched it all last year. I was just like,
I
it got to the
didn't.
point
Yeah.
where it was like, what's the point? It's not going to be entertaining. The dunk contest stinks now. Matt McClung's going to win 6 years in a row because they're going to call him up from the G League for 10 days and just let him be in the dunk contest and whatever.
Lame.
It
Just
All-Star
stop.
weekend has been a dud for a number of years now, and they're trying something different. They tried to do the draft like at the All-Star game, which was the most
Oof.
entertaining part of the All-Star game was who's going to pick who. They did it on
Yeah.
television one year. They did it at the game one year, and nothing has worked so far. So trying something different outside of East West, where it used to be fun, and then everybody was like, "Why would I try hard when I have a week of not playing games?"
I'm not trying
So
to get hurt.
yeah, I'm curious to see if there's an actual competitiveness. There's a lot of young dudes too, and a lot of the guys are in their first time being in the All Star game. So I think that'll be at least
Yeah.
intriguing. And then you got the Shaq's OGs where they've all been in 10 plus All Star games pretty much a piece. So except for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. Speaking of Shaq's OGs, and Kyrie being on there. I think the last All-Star game I enjoyed was that one that he made like 11 threes or whatever it was. It was like something, I think it was his first All-Star game, but they just like kept feeding him the ball and he just like went supernova. That was tight. But that's the last time I remember being like, oh, this game kind of rules.
He's on his 9th All-Star appearance now. So, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was 10 plus
That was a
years
long time ago.
Yeah. Sick.
He was on the Cavs.
Maybe he'll do something like he did last night. He scored 9 points in 40 seconds, and each team had a possession. So that was fun.
Hey.
42 points last night. Shout out to Kyrie. Love him. Love him dearly. All right. Well, yeah, he's good.
He's growing.
All-Star game. We'll be back next week, probably. We're not going to come back Sunday to preview it. We'll come back midweek next week. We'll preview All-Star weekend for whatever reason. Just give our picks for 3-point contest and whatever. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Maybe something will blow up in Dallas like it happened over the last week and a half, and we can talk about that too.
We're going to be optimistic. We love this league. It's perfect. They do no wrong.
We need Josh to. This is what we do it for. I need to get. Again.
Yeah, that's right. I legit. I was thinking about it in the car earlier, knowing we're about to record. I was like, I think I'm just going to open how Josh would. In other words, all I'm going to do is talk about Amen Thompson for 30 seconds.
The Hornets. Like, I watched this game the other night. It's like Sensabaugh.
Bryce Sensabaugh.
Watch LaMelo Ball throw an alley-oop to himself off the backboard. Yeah.
Alley-oop pass, mind you. Yeah. We miss you, Josh, if you're watching.
We'll be back very, very soon. So we'll be back next week. Talk about All-Star Game. So there won't be an episode this upcoming Monday, but we'll be back later in the week, preview All-Star Game, and then we'll be back to regular scheduled programming when the season comes back. So All-Star matchups are here. I'll watch, I guess. Last night of the NBA, though. Enjoy it tonight. And if you're watching this tomorrow morning, which you will be, go back and watch a game that you missed this season. So you can have fun next week. Yeah. But
that's right.
This has been Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA podcast, brought to you by Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. Go check them out today if you're in the Houston area. Shout out to Zing Zang. We love our margarita mix, our Bloody Mary mix. They got the pre-mixed cans with the alcohol already in it. We love Zing Zang over here. We're going to have a bunch of it at the Apollo office to show off. Shout out to Prize Picks. Use code Apollo when you sign up. Get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. It's a daily fantasy app where you hit more or less on every stat, every game, every night, every player. And shout out to J Bar M Barbecue. J Bar M Barbecue. We'll have another watch party next month. I don't know what day yet. I will talk to Justin and we'll start pushing that out next week on the next episode. But J Bar M Barbecue is just a couple blocks away from Toyota Center. It's the best jalapeno cheddar smoked sausage that you'll have in your life. I had it this past weekend. I want to go back just to have that. I will drive 4 hours for that. It's incredible. We love J Bar M Barbecue. They got cheap drinks, great food. A couple blocks away from Toyota Center. So if you're going to a Rockets game, go to J Bar. We love J Bar M. So shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to you, Sheldon, for joining me tonight. We'll be back very, very soon with another episode of Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA podcast.